All right. Calling the Ojai Planning Commission, the regular meeting, October 21st, 2015, meeting to order. Members of the public wishing to address the Planning Commission on items appearing on the agenda are requested to complete a speaker's card, file it with the secretary prior to the start of the meeting. Cards are available in the lobby. Speakers should state their name and address for the record and limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. Comments must be directed to the commission and not to the audience. While Planning Commission is in session, all in attendance are expected to maintain order and decorum and to obey the orders of the chair. Could we have a roll call, please?
Foster, Nicklin, absent. Jagiello. Here. Isabella. Here. Merck. Here. Nolan.
Here.
Lajewski.
Here.
Great. Next is our public communications. This is the time. Oh, yeah, the Pledge of Allegiance. Excuse me. Commissioner Isabella, would you lead us?
Sure. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, now we'll go to public communication. This is the time set aside during the Planning Commission meeting for members of the public to address the Planning Commission on items of city business other than scheduled agenda items. Matters raised at this time may be briefly discussed by the Commission and will generally be referred to staff and or placed on a subsequent agenda. Under state law, other than for emergency items, no action can be taken at this meeting. And I have one speaker card, Mr. Bill Miley.
Hi, Commissioners. My main item is going to come up, but I want to comment on the code enforcement. I try to look at your agenda every time it comes up, and I've been doing that for years. And I am really impressed by what's happening with code enforcement. Just a couple of days ago, I started to scroll through it, and I kept scrolling through it. It was like 6 or 7 pages, and like 2 or 3 of them were 2015. So I think that's great. Hedges are all over the place. I'm just really interested. Anyway, I wanted to congratulate the code enforcement officer and who's ever supervising him. Kathleen, is that you? Okay. All right. The main thing I'm doing tonight is I'm representing our Affordable Housing Committee tonight. I want to update you and folks watching this commission meeting on the efforts we're creating to create reasonably priced housing for lower income families to ease the current housing crisis in Ojai. Since the City Council passed the housing elements plans 4 and 5, which you know are part of the city's legal general plan, we've been working on how best to do this consistent with Ojai's character. As you know, the City Council on July 14th of this year affirmed that 2 city-owned parcels, special overlay sites 10 and 11, from the housing element plan are available for affordable housing. And the council also asked People Self-Help Housing from Santa Barbara, San Luis, and they cover Ventura County, a nonprofit corporation, for a concept presentation for both of the parcels, for apartments, rental apartments. Started in 1970, People Self-Help is a trusted nonprofit corporation with an excellent reputation, and they would build a development of about 40 units, rental housing. These apartments would be offered to low-income families who live and or work in the city. We know the need is large and that there will be many qualifying folks. People Self-Help will provide on-site management and social educational services to the residents. Can I have another minute, please?
Yes, please.
Okay. In order to pay for this affordable housing development, 100% financing is needed. To do this, People Self-Help Housing will apply for highly competitive tax credits from the state of California. To win the tax credits, and there's a lot of competition, the development must meet two key state criteria. One, the city must offer funding and/or a land donation, so there's something in the pot to make it work. Two, the land must be very close to downtown where services are available to the residents. The only two land parcels in our housing element which meet these criteria are a portion of Site 10, which is behind City Hall, and two, Site 11, next to the Public Works Yard. Importantly, Site 10's grant deed carries a deed covenant which limits the use of the land to public purposes. And affordable housing, in our opinion, is a legitimate public purpose as defined by our general plan and by state statutes. So, in closing, I'll end with a rhetorical question. Do we, as a city, want to take advantage of these special overlay sites in order to bring affordable housing to our city? Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. All right, any other comments during the public communication time? No? Okay, we're going to go on to the consent items. This will be the minutes of the regular meeting of the Planning Commission, October 7th, 2015. I just had one comment. I noticed my name was, and this is not a big deal, but under roll call I'm listed twice, in case somebody thought there were two of me.
I'll fix that before we do final signature.
I had a note on page 3, under the commission deliberation. It has me saying the trellis was added at a later date. It was actually built at the same time as the building there.
Okay.
It was just came later in the design process of the building, but
Very good.
was all built at
I'll
the
make
same
that
time.
change before we sign as well.
thanks.
Thank you.
So would somebody like to approve the minutes?
I'll move we approve the minutes of the planning commission meeting for October 7th.
Okay, we have a second?
Second it?
Okay,
Roll call, Jagiello?
Yes.
Isabella?
Yes.
Merck?
Yes.
Nolan?
Yes.
Wojciechowski?
Yes.
all right. Next, we have our disclosure of site visits and ex parte contacts. We'll start with Commissioner Jagiello.
Been to both sites and no ex parte contact.
Okay.
Also been to both sites and no ex parte contacts.
Same for me.
All right, I've been to the first one, which would be item number 2, and I have to recuse myself from item number 3, and so I will, at that point, hand the gavel over to you, Commissioner Merck.
I've also been to both sites, but have no ex parte contact.
All right, so our first public hearing item is a lot line adjustment, LLA 15-01. Design review permit DRP 15-03 and tree permit T 15-12 for the merger of two lots into one. Demo of an existing 66-bed comprehensive care center and construction of a new single-story 60-bed comprehensive care center replacement facility, including additional parking, new secondary access drive, new landscaping, and a removal of approximately 53 trees at Ojai Community Memorial Hospital, located at 1306 Maricopa Highway, APN 019-0-110-040, comma, -335 and -345. The general plan land use designation on the parcels is institutional, recreational IR, and the zoning classification on the parcels is institutional recreation, I-R-1, I believe, yes, district, and a categorical exemption has been prepared pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act under Section 15302 of the CEQA guidelines for Class 2. The property owner is Community Memorial Health System, and the representative is, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing this correctly, Hadi Lashkari, Chief Administrative Officer, Ojai Valley Community Hospital, and the applicant is Joey Craigland Architect, HGA Architects and Engineers. And so tonight, there's a recommendation to continue this item to November 4th, 2015. And this was based on a mutual agreement between the city and the applicants. So,
I'll make a motion to continue the item
very
to
good.
November.
I'll
The
second
4th.
it.
November 4th? Okay, good.
Aye.
To a date specific.
Yes, November 4th.
Thank you. Jagielo?
Yes.
Isabella?
Yes.
Merck?
Yes.
Nolan?
Yes.
Lajowski?
Yes.
All right, and so I am recusing myself from the next item, and so I'm going to hand that over to Commissioner Merck, and I'll exit.
All right. We still have a quorum, even without our esteemed commissioner. Item 3 is a minor revision to the approved site plan for design review permit DRP 1405 for Phase 2 of a microbrewery based on another agency review, Topo Mountain Winery, located at 821 West Ojai Avenue, Ojai. Assessors parcel number 0240020-100. And this item has been recommended to be tabled as the applicant submitted a director's exemption on September 29th that is currently being processed. So, do we have a motion to do that?
I'll make a motion to table this item.
All right,
I'll second that.
all right. Can we have a roll call, please?
Jagielo?
Yes.
Isabella?
Yes.
Merck?
Yes.
Lajowski?
Yes.
All right. Kathy can come back in.
All right, so now we're on to discussion items, and we don't have any. And so we'll move on to our informational items from our director's report and director's action.
Okay, good evening. In regards to the director's decisions, there's, I think, 6 here, beginning with assigning a new additional address to the Caro's building as the property owner is demising that building to have 2 tenants in it. And then the next one is to remove 2 hazardous oaks and do some pruning, another hazardous oak tree, and then a new sign for the Hi-Ho Burger for Ojai Burger. Hi-Ho is, I guess, what it's called now, not the Ojai Burger. And I hope all you folks are excited to see it done and looking nice. Yeah, that was really great. And then a home occupation, and then a temporary use permit, which was for Joe's Quick Stop to participate in Ojai Days. They're a little disjointed, a little far away from it, so they have to do their own. So it's just kind of, our housekeeping items there. Code enforcement, as you heard from Mr. Miley, is an ever-growing list, and I think I'm open to any questions. I think the hedge issue, or trimming the hedges, is somewhat controversial, as we saw in the newspaper the other day. So that's kind of the only one that we really have any issues going with on, and that's being looked at by City Council, I believe, not at this next meeting, but the one after that, I think, is they've wanted to look at it.
Kathleen, just a question on the hedges. Are the hedges that are being asked to be trimmed, are they just at the intersections, or are they also, in front of?
I think they're all at
Just
corners.
intersections?
Mhm.
Okay.
We were asked to do the most
Right.
serious safety issues, is
Right.
the way I think it was
Okay.
termed. Mhm.
Thank you.
And then lastly, we have the upcoming Planning Commission meetings. And so we just note that November 4th is the deadline for California Solar to submit, not that they're going to be before you, but just that would remind you that that's what you placed on them. We're going to once again bring back the second unit ordinance to discuss for yet another workshop, because we're not in any way shape for me to put something together for you. So, and I'm trying to get the information that you've requested together so that you'll have additional information to work on that. And then the DRP 14-09, 999 East Ojai Avenue, they need a time extension, but as you know, time extensions have been regarded in the city of Ojai as opening up the full permit back up for review. So sometimes because of new policies that have taken place since the first time it was reviewed to the second time it was reviewed, it still requires a substantial amount of staff time, where always before, we just brought them back as just time extension. So, and then I think that is all that we have going And then down below is the list of projects we're working on, which we kind of gone through and sort of try to put a little bit more detail into what we're doing on those projects and what the status of them is, if you have any questions. Okay, and I think that's it.
Thank you. All right, now we're going to move on to our Planning Commission liaison reports. And Commissioner Nicklin isn't here tonight. That would have been reporting on the City Council meeting from October 13th, so maybe we can pick that up at our next meeting. And then Commissioner Lajowski for the MAC meeting.
I actually didn't go, and I don't know if there was one. Yeah, so
you're okay.
So I'm okay. The Mac is fine, and so am I.
So would MAC roll over to the next MAC meeting then? Is that if
Yes.
they didn't have one?
I think so.
Okay. All right. And then, let's see. Oh, I just wanted to make a quick mention that the Complete Streets Committee had a table at Ojai Day, and it was very successful and very lively. I actually kind of lost my voice by the end of the day. We had a lot of talking. But we had comment cards for people. They could write anything they wanted. And I haven't gone through them all yet, but I'm going to tally them up and, make a little report and what have you. But it was very good and well attended. So I just wanted to mention that. And I think, is there anything else anyone else wants to report, Commissioner Zabilla?
Just that Foster and I are switching city council liaison.
As Commissioner Merckx stated or said earlier, the Libby Playground is more or less complete at this point. It was a huge effort on behalf of our whole city. In particular, I want to just thank Greg Grant and Steve McCleary. I mean, they were both, there was a ton of people, Sage Dentner, behind the scenes, but I think it was really visionary of our city to go out and go through this process rather than just buying a prefabricated playground, which they could have done and had a contractor come and set it up. I really think the city gained a lot from this, and I think they deserve recognition. So anyhow, it opened on Ojai Day, and Mayor Lara cut the ribbon, and there was kids running all over, and it was really a shining time to be a member of Ojai.
All right, that said, now is the time for our City Council liaison, Mayor Severo Lara. Perfect timing.
Apologize, I was late. I was actually at a meet at a work site, and and then I looked at time. I was like, "Oh my God, it's late." But nevertheless, I'm here. There's this city council meeting. There's going to be talk about just RFP for the buildings inspector. Hopefully, we could get more staff. It's been just incredibly busy. That's what we hear from Ms. Wold. And also, we're just going to be talking about some insurance, updating some policies that we need to do internally. And we're also going to be talking about possibly just a discussion of what we had. We had a lot of public comment last council meeting about the Shangri-La raid. I know there's nothing we could do that can make an impact, but I think morally we'll be trying to discuss something that we could do just to see if answer the questions of our concerned citizens. That's all we're trying to do. We respect the narcotics division of Ventura County, so we don't want to really create a rift there. But at the same time, we want to be sensitive to our residents and answer some of their questions. So that's what I think our main goal is at this council meeting. We're also going to be having a workshop for the cultural resource issue that we've been trying to process. We're it's going to be an education workshop. It's really not going to be anything that to do with policy implementation or looking over the notification process. None of that. It's just going to we're just going to try to explain why we're looking at it, why it's important. There's some legal parameters that we're going to be explaining, and why it's sensitive here in the valley, and in particular the city. So we're going to be trying to answer that type of those type of questions. We're going to invite anybody that's interested in cultural resources, which include anybody from that have an interest in protecting the cultures, to contractors, to the homeowners, and try to see why we're doing this. Not necessarily how to implement our policy, but why. And Julie Tumamai is going to be involved. Our city attorney with Craig Beam is going to be involved. Ms. Wool is going to be making a presentation of what we're trying to do right now, just as a interim policy, or what we've been doing. But we're not here to discuss any policy. We're just answering why. The transient vacation rental issue will be coming up in November. I think it's November 10th meeting, if I'm correct. We're going to be talking about that. And let's see what else is on the agenda. We're still waiting for the concept review from the People's Self-Help Housing Agency to see when they're going to come up for the conceptual review. I do want to say that this last council meeting, we did approve the Green Coalition request of an additional $25,000, which I'm really happy. I think it's the beginning of a possible relationship with the Green Coalition. I personally, I'm not trying to put words in my fellow council members, but myself. I think we talk about environmental issues here in the city, in the valley, and they're up front with it, donating already a lot of time. So I think that it could be a beginning to a relationship with the coalition. Other than that, I don't think there's really anything else to report. We are going to be dealing with the fence issue. I know we've been getting a lot of comment on that, a lot of emails. I've received a lot of emails on that issue. So we are going to be talking about it, I think, in the near future. I think before the year ends, we'll see if we'll put it on the agenda to see how we want to address those issues. Other than that, I don't know if anyone has any questions. No? Well, great. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, well, with that, I'm going to adjourn.
I
Go ahead.
Just interrupt for just a second.
Sure.
I was also going to just do an FYI that we're going to be taking Mr. Shamshiri's fence. He did build his example recumbent wall out there. I don't know if you folks were aware of that. Okay, he did. HVC was invited to go out and look at it, and they seemed to be pleased. They had some corrections to it, some bigger boulders they wanted, and it was explained that the bigger boulders are really heavy, and until you get them all out there and you start moving with heavy equipment, it's really hard to do an example wall with them. So I think we're moving ahead on that. We'll be taking that to his work permit back to them on November, I think it's the 8th, right? So I just wanted, because you were tied in on that, I just want to make sure that you were aware of what was going on with that. And then I think that, and then we did get, I don't know if it's on the list here or not, but I was just going to say that, I don't think so, that Monday we got a concept review for the bowling alley. So we'll bring that forward to you. So that's kind of exciting, because that's a little bit different than. Well, yeah, I don't know if, that doesn't really do it justice. It's more like, has kind of, the idea now, is kind of like nostalgia. So our Airstreams, that you can rent and with a bocce court and a pool, you know what I mean? More kind of like yeah, but where people, would want to come and stay in a heirloom Airstream and kind of have an Ojai experience. It's really pretty cool. So it's kind of exciting after all these years to get something. So I thought you might enjoy that.
Meeting adjourned.